Hey everyone, welcome back to Box Racing in 4x4. This week, I'm putting 911 GT3 parts on my little boxster. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, I'm working on the brake system. One thing I've found driving that car, I've been to a few races now, is I'm not a huge fan of the brake pedal. I don't like how it feels. And this is totally a personal preference thing, that I have to move the pedal further than I would like to, which makes, for me, a little bit trickier doing heel and toe. So what I've done is I got this. This is the master cylinder out of a Porsche 996 GT3. What I'm told is that this is a larger inside bore on the piston. That's going to make your pedal stiffer, but it's also going to reduce the distance you have to push it to get the same amount of pressure at the caliper. This isn't likely to actually get me any benefit on track in terms of actual raw times. It just makes it so the car drives how I like it to drive. And in a way, indirectly, that probably will get me a little bit of time, but it's not because the car's faster, it's because I'm driving it faster. The other thing I've been told is that this is a direct bolt-on. You don't have to modify anything, but we're gonna go see if that's actually true. Let's get started on the master cylinder, which is right there. Okay, got the master cylinder reservoir dry. Now all I gotta do is I'm gonna shove a rag under here. We're gonna undo that. I gotta get the clutch line undone in here, I believe. And then it's just unbolt one and bolt the other one in. So I'll be right back with you. Okay, so to get the clutch line undone, it would seem I gotta get the master cylinder off. Okay, so we got all the lines loose. The line going to the down to this, you can actually take out without having to undo both ends. However, the one going to the circuit closer to the booster, that line you'll have to take out. Oh, I'm dripping. That one you have to take out because it doesn't have enough wiggle in it to clear the booster. Now it's just a matter of getting the clutch off, which is putting up a fight, I have to admit. How the heck am I supposed to get that out? Okay, so we got the new one here. I pulled the reservoir off, only to make my life a little bit easier, because threading the nuts on with that on, doable, not a good time though. So, pop that guy on there, do up the nuts. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so we got those bolts tightened up. Now it's just a matter of putting all the lines back on. Okay, well, we got it on there. I'm gonna put some fluid in it and we're gonna see what happens. Probably gonna take me a while to bleed them anyway, so I'm not gonna bore you with bleeding the brakes. Y'all know how to do that. And if you don't, probably shouldn't be messing with this. Okay guys, so we got it bled. I didn't feel like boring you with putting the plastics back together because that's easy. So we're gonna put the hood back on, get in this thing, and go for a road test. But just from bleeding it, I can already tell you that pedal is a lot stiffer. A lot. Now I did get the other master cylinder opened up at the end of the video. I'll show you what it looks like inside and internal measurements of a stock Boxster S master cylinder. But I didn't want to open the new one up because I was afraid I'd mess it up, and then I got no master cylinder and I can't go racing next weekend. So, but it's stiffer. That means it is actually larger on the ID. So, okay. There we are. I finally got the sponginess out of the brakes. I had to put it up in the air and chase the bleeders around a bunch, but we got her. And, oh, Jesus. Well, they work. Oh man, this isn't even comparable. So before, where I'd have to press the paddle, let's say 2 inches, I'm pressing, I don't know, 1 inch. It's a massive difference in throw. There definitely is quite a bit more pedal effort there. There's no question. But it also engages a lot faster. So now when I stomp on it and put it neutral and yeah. So overall, this is a huge win. At least for me. I like a slightly firmer brake pedal. Not everyone will. So, you know, figure out what you want. If a firmer pedal with less throw is what you want, this upgrade does the job. And yeah, totally happy with it. And my understanding is the Master's not that expensive. A couple hundred or $200 or 100 something US. So yeah, really, even coming up to lights like that, that's aggressive. You put this together with a set of pads that have a good initial bite, you'll be planting your face in the dash all the time. It's a very rapid engagement. Like, you don't push the pedals far before you're struggling to stay in your seat. Like 30 feet from the stop sign and brakes. Okay, I might have acted that one up a little bit. Not intentionally, but let's see here. I'll give her a run up to 80 and stomp on it. Oh yeah. It's still got good pedal feel. Arguably probably better pedal feel. Go for it. This is an awesome upgrade for not a lot of money. And it has made heel toe easier. I'm noticing that immediately. Okay, so you can see here we've got a blown apart master cylinder. This is out of the boxster. Now, let's start with the reservoir. On this one, this reservoir is split right down the middle, and that's common with most. The reason is that if you get a leak in your fronts or your rears, the other circuit won't completely run out of fluid in the reservoir, and then when you press the pedal, yes, it'll be spongy, but one circuit will at least still have brakes, unless you have a leak inside the master cylinder. So that's that. This little nub here is for this line. That goes off to the clutch slave cylinder, which I don't know why they decided that was a good idea. I hate it. This was such a pain in the butt to deal with. But, so that's that. We can throw that over there. Now, the master cylinder body. Not a lot fancy here. It is a tube. And this is where the reservoir slots in. You can see, well, maybe you can't really, but this one feeds one circuit, this one feeds the other. And then we'll come back to this in a minute when we've done some of the other stuff. Starting from this end, you got the O-ring, sits on the outside. That seals your master cylinder to the booster. Snap ring. Retention, I don't know what to call this, plastic retention washer. That sits in there like that. This plastic retention washer holds this little guy, which is just a seal. And it's indexed with all sorts of nice little posts so that it can't rotate, which would wear the seal out. At least I'm assuming that's why they did that. So that's that. These are the seals where the reservoir goes into the master. a washer. This is just literally a washer. They probably made it from a specific thickness of sheet, but not rocket appliances there. Now we get into the clever part. So when you take this apart, you've got your master cylinder sitting here like this. This is the deepest piston. You'll see it's got a slot in it. Well, that slot rides around this hole that's centered in that hole there, because this dowel sits in that central hole and retains this piston. It restricts its travel. So when this thing is sitting, when this thing is sitting at a rest and you're not sitting on the brakes, it's this spring, which pushes against the end of the master, holds this out. Now you'll see there's a little pin inside of there. What that does, I believe, is that is a delay valve, so that when you push on the brakes, this circuit between these two holes is delayed. So, but this isn't what you're pushing on. This is your other circuit. So this sits like this. Now when you push on the brakes, this piston is the one you're driving. It pushes both. Now this circuit between here and here, that is your first circuit. I believe this goes to the front of the car, and it's not delayed because you want the front to load up first, but it could be the rear. I have to touch up on my brake theory a little bit apparently, but either way, this circuit isn't delayed. So you press on the brakes, it starts to move this way. So you have to move about 3 millimeters before this dowel stops pressing on the little pin inside of there. So there's a 3 millimeter travel delay in this circuit of the brakes. And then as you push on the brakes more, they travel until that piston hits the dowel on the other end of the slot. Now that piston cannot move farther. We're just gonna put the dowel down. Now this piston can't move further, but you're still pressing on the brakes. So that's where this comes in. Now that's why I believe this to be the front circuit. This is restricting how much you can put on the back for pressure. And by doing that, making it so you don't lock the back up, but you can press the pedal harder. And because you're essentially closing up this distance like that between this seal and this seal, you squish it like that, you get more pressure on the front brakes, making the car dive harder, putting more pressure on the front, giving you the grip to stop harder. So that's how that works, I believe. And this little pin and that little valve is what does all of that logic. It is essentially a hydraulic computer. They're really quite clever. Now we get back to this. So you can see this valve. Throw it in there. Now I have to press that valve some to be able to get this guy. Oh, well, yeah. That would help too. Now, if we're putting this back together, you gotta make sure you got the slot lined up, which I again failed to do. Okay. Now, if I press that piston in and put this little dowel in there, that valve can't come out. it's retained in place by this little dowel. Then you can put this guy in. Try not to assemble it with those dry. It'd be bad for it. It's got this little dimple-plated washer. That sits in this circuit up here. Then you've got this washer, which goes there. This seal, which goes there. And you have to kind of press it into its home. Then you've got your snap ring, which, let's see if I can fight this guy in there. Huh, I managed to do it. There. And now, put this guy back in. Get it sitting in its home. You put these seals back in. Come on, get on there. There we go. Fish our little washer till it's found its home. And there you go. You got one rebuilt master cylinder. It sits in the car like this, and the clutch line comes off that side. That's just you just press that in. Try not to do it with the seals all dry, but there you go. That's how you put together a master cylinder for a early 2000s Porsche. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this, consider liking and subscribing. If it's total crap, you know what to do about that too. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I guess we'll see you in the next one. The next video I'll be recording, I'll be down at Area 27 in British Columbia doing a track day. I don't know if that's the next video that'll be on the channel, but that's the next one I'm recording. So keep your eyes peeled. Thanks for watching. GoPro, stop recording.